Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
The investigation into the school shooting incident at Oxford High School, which occurred on November 30th, 2021, has revealed that James Crumbley purchased a Sig Sauer 9mm model SP 2022 from Acme Shooting Goods in Oxford, Michigan on November 26, 2021. A store employee confirms that Ethan Crumbley was present with James at the time of the purchase. Per statute, James Crumbley completed ATF Form 5309A. On or about November 26, 21, Ethan Crumbley's social media posts reveal photos of the semi-automatic handgun, along with the caption, "Just got my new beauty today," including an emoji with hearts. "Sig Sauer 9mm. Any questions I will answer," end quote. Subsequent to the purchase of that weapon, one of Jennifer Crumbley's social media posts on about 11/27/21 read, quote, "Mom and Sunday testing out his new Christmas present," end quote.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry freaking Christmas. Can you believe this? Okay, so that is the prosecutor for the county in which the school shooting in Michigan occurred, right? And her name is Karen McDonald, and she is probably the smartest person on the planet today, okay? Here is what happened this morning. Karen McDonald held a press conference to announce that she is charging the parents of Ethan Crumbley, the Crumbleys. She's charging the parents of the Crumbleys, which is a very rare occurrence when it comes to school shooters. And you know, a lot of the school shooters did get their guns from their parents, as we remember all the school shootings in our lifetimes, right? And nobody's ever charged the parents with negligence or involuntary manslaughter or aiding and abetting or an accessory to or anything, nothing. There's never been, that I can find, charges against parents unless the kid shot a brother or sister, or unless the kid committed suicide, or unless the kid killed somebody in that household, right? And then maybe there would be charges against the parents. However, and this case is very, very special and rare in that the prosecutor here has decided to move forward with charging the parents with involuntary manslaughter, which basically is a very profound and scary term. That means negligence. That means that you aided and abetted. That means that you did not, keep this gun for. In fact, turns out that the dad actually was a straw purchaser. According to that statement there, the dad was a straw purchaser for a 15-year-old son. That's why mom is saying, that's your Christmas gift, right? It's his gun now, which is illegal under federal law. But she is not a federal prosecutor. She's a county prosecutor. And so she's stuck in the wheelhouse in which she toils and works. So she brought, state charges, state crime, criminal charges against the parents. So just for anybody who's going to ask me, why isn't the father being charged with being a straw purchaser? The answer is because that's a federal crime. Okay. And the feds haven't weighed in. So there's a possibility that will happen too. However, the story about what happened with this purchased gun for a 15-year-old that daddy decided was a great thing to buy on Black Friday for Christmas for his 15-year-old son, who obviously had behavioral issues, problems, is just a stunning way to send a message to people who keep guns in their house, knowing that they have children or minors in the house who may want to play with the gun, or who may think that dad bought it for them and it's theirs, and may then take it, stick it in a backpack, and go to school and shoot up the place, right? But the story gets even worse, okay? Even worse. Here's the prosecutor saying why, remember we heard from the sheriff. The sheriff said, Sheriff Michael Bouchard, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. He said that the parents were called to school, but he didn't want to say why the parents were called to school the day before the shooting, and also that the parents were called to school the day of the shooting. But we didn't know why, remember?
I know you say these two different teachers reported the shooter's disturbing behavior, but what specifically raised their concerns?
Well, I can't articulate the exact nature of it because it's now part of our evidentiary process and we don't want to prejudice the process or trial, but I can tell you that two different teachers, one in the morning the day before, saw behavior they thought was troubling. School officials brought them down to the office and had a conversation the day of the shooting. And by the way, they left a message for the parents as well, both electronically and voicemail on that evening. The next day, a different teacher in a different classroom saw behavior that they found troubling and brought the individual down to the office, and ultimately school officials talked with he and his parents the day of the shooting, but at no time were we looped into any of that.
All right. So that was all we knew. Well, today we know the rest. This is an unbelievable story. Strap in for this one.
On November 21st, 21, a teacher at the Oxford High School observed Ethan Crumbley searching ammunition on his cell phone during class and reported the same to school officials. Jennifer Crumbley was contacted via voicemail by school personnel regarding that son's inappropriate internet search. School personnel indicate they followed that voicemail up with an email but received no response from either parent. Thereafter, Jennifer Crumbley exchanged text messages about the incident with her son on that day, stating, quote, LOL, I'm not mad at you. You have to learn not to get caught, end quote.
Oh my God. So mom knew that he was searching ammo on his phone. Mom knew because the school, the day before the shooting, had called the house, left a message. And they must have, told the mom what exactly he was doing in class, a message which she chose to ignore. And then subsequently, they sent an email to both parents telling them that the kid was searching for ammo on his phone in class the day before the shooting, and they chose to ignore both the voicemail and the emails asking them to please come to school to discuss a behavioral issue with Ethan, knowing that they had just purchased for him a gun, a Sig Sauer semi-automatic handgun, knowing that that's what they had just bought him, and that is why he was searching for ammo. They chose to ignore it, and then they text him. Mom does. LOL, you have to learn not to get caught. The day of the shooting.
On November 30th, 21, the morning of the shooting, the next day, Ethan Crumbley's teacher came upon a note on Ethan's desk, which alarmed her to the point that she took a picture of it on her cell phone. The note contained the following: a drawing of a semi-automatic handgun pointing at the words, quote, the thoughts won't stop, help me, end quote. In another section of the note was a drawing of a bullet with the following words above that bullet, quote, blood everywhere, end quote. Between the drawing of the gun and the bullet is a drawing of a person who appears to have been shot twice and bleeding. Below that figure is a drawing of a laughing emoji. Further down the drawing are the words, quote, my life is useless, end quote. And to the right of that are the words, quote, the world is dead.
A teacher took a photograph of that note that he was drawing at his desk. This is the day after the parents were emailed and the parents were called, because he's searching for ammo. And now he's on the day of the shooting drawing these dark, dank pictures of him shooting people and saying, the voices won't stop. I can't stop thinking about this. Please help me. The world is dead. And they call the parents to come to school, to come in now that they have him in the office, to please come in. And they do. They show up.
At RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, The Randi Rhodes Show.
30th, 21, the morning of the shooting, the next day, Ethan Crumbley's teacher came upon a note on Ethan's desk, which alarmed her to the point that she took a picture of it on her cell phone. The note contained the following: a drawing of a semi-automatic handgun pointing at the words, quote, "The thoughts won't stop, help me," end quote. In another section of the note was a drawing of a bullet with the following words above that bullet, quote, "Blood everywhere," end quote. Between the drawing of the gun and the bullet is a drawing of a person who appears to have been shot twice and bleeding. Below that figure is a drawing of a laughing emoji. Further down the drawing are the words, quote, "My life is useless," end quote. And to the right of that are the words, quote, "The world is dead," end quote. As a result, James and Jennifer Crumbley were immediately summoned to the school. A school counselor came to the classroom and removed the shooter and brought him to the office with his backpack. Counselor obtained the drawing, but the shooter had already altered it. The drawings of the gun and the bloody figure were scratched out along with the words, "Help me," and "My life is useless." "The world is dead," and "Blood everywhere." Those were all altered by him. At the meeting, James and Jennifer Crumbley were shown the drawing and were advised that they were required to get their son into counseling within 48 hours. Both James and Jennifer Crumbley failed to ask their son if he had his gun with him or where his gun was located, and failed to inspect his backpack for the presence of the gun, which he had with him. James and Jennifer Crumbley resisted the idea of them leaving the school at that time, of their son leaving the school at that time. Instead, James and Jennifer Crumbley left the high school without their son. He was returned to the classroom.
I mean, come on. You know, can you imagine you're a parent of a kid, 15-year-old kid, and you're called into school the day before a shooting that your son actually accomplishes because he's looking for ammo on his cell phone during class. And you know, now I know why Black Friday is black, right? You know that on Black Friday, you bought your 15-year-old, you did a straw purchase and you bought your 15-year-old a freaking semi-automatic handgun. And you know that he, was very happy to get it and that he posted it on Instagram. And you say, enjoy it. It's Christmas. I'm so happy you have it, dear, right? And now the school is calling you. You get, a voice message saying there's some disturbing behavior occurring with your son in school today. We need to talk to you, and you ignore it. And then you get an email later on in the day saying, we're trying to reach you and your husband. Your son is displaying some disturbing behavior in school today. Please get in touch with us, and you ignore that too. And instead, you text your son, LOL, I'm not mad at you. You have to learn not to get caught. Is this parenting taught in the ninth circle of hell? I mean, honestly, I've never heard of anything that completely careless or sick. I mean, it's just twisted. All right. Then the day of the shooting, 2 to 3 hours before the shooting, they are called in because he's sitting in class drawing such disturbing pictures on his paper that the teacher takes a photo of it. And it clearly says, I need help. The thoughts won't stop. Help me. Blood everywhere. Bullets. And then the parents say, okay, maybe we better show up. So they do go to school, right? And the only thing they're concerned about, don't kick him out of school. They go, your son needs counseling and he needs it now. And you better, comply and get him some counseling within 48 hours. And they say, okay, fine. Just let's leave him in school today. We don't want him to be removed from school today. And they know they bought him a gun. And they know that the day before there was an alarm that was going off about their child doing something about that gun, trying to get ammunition for that gun. And instead, they say nothing about buying a gun. They say nothing about his obsession with this gun. They say nothing about, maybe we made a mistake. We bought him a gun. You know, we took him to the store and he picked it out. His dad bought it. It was going to be a Christmas present, you know, but we gave it to him early. I wonder if he has it in his backpack. I wonder if he's got it with him. They never tell the school. They never ask their son, do you have the gun with you? Is it in your backpack? And clearly they knew it was. Clearly they knew it was. Do you know how we know? Because during the shooting, when all the alarms are going off, when the 911 calls were flooding in, 100 people called 911 that day from that, you know, who had children in that school. Do you know what his mother actually did? She texted him. And you know what the message was? Ethan, don't do it. Oh my God.
When the news of the active shooter at Oxford High School had been made public, Jennifer Crumbly texted to her son at 1:22 p.m., quote, Ethan, don't do it.
Oh my God.
At 1:37 p.m., James Crumbly called 911, reporting that a gun was missing from his house and he believed his son may be the shooter. Further investigation revealed that the 6-hour 9mm handgun purchased by James Crumbly was stored unlocked in a drawer in James and Jennifer's bedroom. The gun recovered from the shooter at the school after the shooting was the same gun that was purchased by his father, James Crumbly, on November 26, 2021, in the presence of his son. Based upon the foregoing, the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office requested and received authorized, we charged 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter as to James Crumbly and 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter as to Jennifer Crumbly.
But wait, there's more. No, there's more. This is crazy. This is really, really crazy. America is very sick. Okay, very, very sick. So the prosecutor had that press conference, I'd say, 2 hours ago, announcing that she was charging the parents, which again is rare, but she actually said out loud that the reason she was charging the parents is because she was entitled to. The facts of this case showed her that these parents had knowledge and a forethought of the kid having a gun, that they ignored warnings about him the day before, that when they came in on that day, they failed to tell the school or even ask their son if he had the gun in his backpack, but instead insisted that he be allowed to stay in school, never, ever, ever giving a heads up to the school about any possibility that he had not access to a gun, but that they had given him one. So the prosecutor has a press conference today to announce that she is, in a rare move, charging the parents with involuntary manslaughter, 4 counts, because 4 murders were successful, right? He literally killed 4 of his classmates. He shot 11 people. 7 of them, were wounded, but 4 have died. And they're supposed to be arraigned in a half an hour.
Connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Okay, so I told you that, but wait, there's more? There's more.
An attorney representing them called our detectives and said, if the prosecutor announces charges, we'll make arrangements to have them arrested. And when we were informed the prosecutor had issued charges, we sent detectives out and got a call from the lawyer for the couple saying they're not returning her calls or texts. So if they think they're going to get away, they're not.
So the Crumbleys are missing now?
Correct.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. So they can't find the Crumbleys. The FBI and the U.S. Marshals and a police fugitive team are searching for Mr. and Mrs. Crumbly because they're fleeing the interview. They're fleeing the interview. They were supposed to be arraigned at 4 o'clock this afternoon, Eastern time, right? I guess it's Eastern time. I don't know if it's Eastern time or Central time, right? Somebody will tell me in Michigan, like in Pontiac or Oxford County, like, are you on Central Time? I don't know. But they were supposed to be arraigned, and now they've disappeared, and there is a massive manhunt underway for the parents of Ethan Crumbley, the school shooter who shot 11 kids. Killed 4, 7 in the hospital. Oh, my God. And I have to tell you, searching her social media, journalists found that she had written a letter to President Trump. Yeah, a letter to President Trump thanking him, oh my God, for her Second Amendment rights. Dear President-elect Mr. Trump, feels funny to even be writing your name like that, but you made history on Tuesday. I'm not going to lie, I was scared, and she writes crapless, but she writes the word, to circle your name on my ballot. I've been back and forth on whether to vote for you or not vote at all. I struggled to make myself find a way to trust Hillary as a president. I could not. You see, I am an American woman. I value the equality of the LGBT community. In fact, I hold that in really high regards. I'm a feminist. I value women's rights, and I want to be alive when I see the first woman become president. But as an American woman with a 10-year-old child, I could not have that first woman president be Hillary. And then she says, thank you for respecting the Second Amendment as a female and a realtor. Thank you for allowing my right to bear arms, allowing me to be protected if I show a home to someone with bad intentions. Thank you for respecting that amendment. You see, Mr. Trump, I voted for you because I need you to stop Common Core. My son struggles daily, and my teachers tell me they hate teaching it, but they have to, except she wrote the have to. Their pay depends on these stupid effing test scores. I have to pay for a tutor. Why? Because I can't figure out 4th grade math. I used to be good at math. I can't afford a tutor. In fact, I sacrifice car insurance to make sure my son gets a good education and hopefully succeeds in life. Well, there's all your hopes and dreams dashed right there. And she said, most of the parents are locked up. My parents teach at a school where their kids come from illegal immigrant parents. Those kids don't care about learning. They threaten to kill my mom for caring about their grades. Do you realize, Mr. Trump, that they get free tutors, free tablets from our government so they can succeed? Why can't my son get those things? Do we, as hardworking Americans, not deserve that too? I have a very strong intuition, and I personally have always learned to go with my gut feeling, parens, thanks, Mom. Hillary started speaking. I listened. I looked at her eyes, her permanent, unchanging smile, her ability to show no emotion. And it was then my heart sank. My mind became clear, and I knew absolutely that her intention was not true. Her promises are false. Her voice has an evil cold. Everything she has done, whether it was proven true or not, I knew in the deepest of my gut that I could not let this woman have control over my son's future. And then she said she wasn't offended by his grab them by the pee comments. She said, quote, I say things all the time that people take the wrong way. Do I mean them? Not always. I'm not scared of your big personality and quick temper. There is a whole House of Representatives that still have to approve if you decide to get pissed at China and blow them up. She said she supported the wall. I am not a racist, but I support the wall. And the father linked to her blog post that she left there in 2016, writing, quote, my wife can be spot on sometimes. And now the whole family, well, half of them are on the run. 2/3 of this family is on the run with a manhunt underway for the parents, for the school shooting parents. And their son is, being held as an adult, which frankly is so upsetting to me personally. This whole system that we have is so broken. It's so unbelievably broken. He's not an adult, even though you wish he were. He's 15 years old, and obviously he's mentally ill. Obviously, he had some murder ideation. He was screaming for help in that picture. He was saying that it won't stop. I can't stop thinking about it. He was obsessing about killing. Okay? God only knows what he saw in his house. And then his parents go and buy him a gun for Christmas. The birth of Christ has to be commemorated in that household with an instrument of killing, with a deadly instrument. Guns are not for anything. They're not for anything but killing. That's the purpose of a gun. And they're fugitives now. Oh my God. And by the way, I hate to tell you this part. They used to live here with me in Florida. They used to live here in Florida, but both of them had been arrested for DUIs. Both of them were arrested for kiting checks, for not floating them, but for writing bad checks. And that's why they moved to Michigan. And then in Michigan, they just decided that they would raise this kid in their likeness. And, this message she wrote to her son where you have to learn not to get caught. What are they, Thelma and Louise now? I don't want to get caught. I'm not ready. Let's keep going. You mean it? Yeah, just keep going. Oh, my freaking God. What is happening in this country? What is the major malfunction in this country? What is going on here? How is it possible that the parents of a school shooter are fugitives and a giant manhunt is underway because they don't want to face responsibility?
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Yeah, call that number if you want to talk to me. But if you want to make a donation, today's a very, 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 very good day. It is our holiday pledge drive here at Free Speech TV. Yes. And yesterday was so good. Yesterday was so good because it was a match day. Yeah, it was good. So guess what? Today's a match day, too. It is up to $10,000. There are new frontline funders who are willing to put their money where my mouth is today. This is awesome. Thank you to Karen in California, Brenda in Texas, Deborah in California, Janet in California, Mac in Colorado, Jerry in Arizona, Joe in Washington, D.C., Patsy and Gary in Washington State, Robert and Betty in Oregon, and William in Michigan. They will match anything that you can do today, dollar for dollar, up to $10,000. Okay? So please feel free. Today is a day to make double the impact with your $5 or $10 or $100 donation. It will become 200. It will become 10. Will become 20. On and on. Right? Up to 10 grand. So thank you to the frontline funders. Thank you to you. All you need to do is visit us at freespeech.org. We're an org. We're an org, not a com, because we are a 501c3, a not-for-profit org. Or you can call us at 877-378-8669. That will get you somebody over there in Denver, Colorado, where Free Speech TV is headquartered. Or the texting. Texting is super cool, super fun, super easy. You just text FSTV, Free Speech TV, to 44321. 44321, and then put in FSTV, and we will send you a secure link. You will be able to make the donation. It will be matched. And you will also get, if you do a certain amount, you'll see that there are gifts available that you can choose for yourself or to give for the Christmas season. And you can follow the fundraiser. You can follow the pledge drive and see exactly where we're at and how far away or how close to our goal we are. And you can choose to participate again by seeing that. So please do text us at 44321. FSTV, the letters, FSTV. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. So this is just incredible. This manhunt is still underway for the parents. in Michigan, still underway. What is the problem in these here United States of America? What is the major malfunction? How is this happening? How is this possible? That you have parents who are buying a gun for a kid, 15 years old, wishing him a Merry Christmas, meaning they were straw purchasers for their son at 15 years old to own a semi-automatic handgun. Then they get called from the school. Your son is Googling ammo. They ignore it, but they text the son and they say, LOL, I'm not mad at you. You just have to learn not to get caught. Holy crap. The next day, they're called into school because he's sitting there drawing what essentially is happening in his head, which he actually did do minutes after the parents leave the school without asking him, where's the gun? Where's the gun? Do you have the gun? We know we bought you a gun. Where's the gun? We bought you a gun 3 days ago. So where is it? Can I look in your backpack? Anything at all. Anything at all. And they didn't bother to tell the school either. They only said, you have to send him back to class. You have to send him back to class. We want him back in class. We want him back in class. They send him back to class with the backpack, by the way. And then he commits mass murder. Then he commits a school shooting, shooting 11 kids between the ages of 14 and 17, killing 4 of them, 7 of them hospitalized right as we speak. The parents are then charged with involuntary manslaughter, meaning they didn't cause him to shoot, but they aided him in the shooting. They were negligent. And they take off and they're on the lam. And you've got detectives and the FBI and U.S. Marshals looking for they're driving a 2021 Kia Seltos. It's black. Michigan tag is D like dog, Q like queen, G like God, 5203. DQG 5203. It's a black Kia Seltos with Michigan tags. What is the major malfunction? What is the problem? Linwood in Virginia.
Randy, it's been a minute since the election. I want to apologize for my reaction on that day.
Mm-hmm.
But this is really about parenting. The parenting is pretty much gone. Parents are not raising the children anymore. They're mainly the parents are trying to be the kid's friend. Now, excuse some of the terms I'm going to use. What in the hell is a parent doing giving a kid a gun for a birthday present?
No, not just a gun, a semi-automatic handgun, a Sig Sauer, okay? I mean, I remember when I was growing up, you probably do too, in our comic books, they used to have ads for Daisy rifles, right? And I remember asking my parents, could I have one? And they said, no, right?
Yes.
But now they're going into gun stores and doing straw purchases for semi-automatic handguns, gifting them to their children for Christmas, no less, and then failing to tell the school, who obviously has seen some troubling behavior, some mentally troubling behavior from this kid, and the parents refuse to tell the school that there's probably a gun in his backpack, and instead they say, send him back to class, send him back to class.
Well, they don't want to deal with him. And that's,
is it that they didn't want to deal with him? They didn't want to, or is it that this was a family plot or a plan or something? I don't know.
I can't say it was a family plan, but I'll just tell you like this. And I grew up born in the 80s, raised in the 90s, and I had a hard stepfather. If the word gun showed up, ass whoops was coming.
Huh.
We got the belt or the switch, old school. So we knew, okay, listen, Pops is serious business. We're not going to try this at home. But really what this is about is white parenting gone amok. White parents have gotten to the point where I really don't care anymore about what these kids do. I can have them. I can, whatever. These kids can do whatever the hell they want, shoot many school districts up. He had mental problems. Oh, we want to get little Jimmy his pills.
They're not even showing up to say that, okay? They showed up to say, please send him back to class now. Didn't tell the school that they bought him a gun. It's probably in his backpack. Didn't ask him, do you have the gun? Nothing. They texted him, Ethan, don't do it.
Well, they could have did that. They could have said, Ethan, don't do it. But they gave ammunition for Ethan to go out there and do it by giving. How old is this young man, by the way?
How what?
How old is this young man, by the way?
15.
What the hell is a 15-year-old kid doing with a gun? And who in the hell in the state of Michigan sold that gun to him? They need to be held liable for that.
No, the gun store sold it to the father. The father filled out all the paperwork, right? The correct paperwork for the background check, the whole 9 yards. But then the father gave it to the son as a Christmas present. He was a straw buyer for his son. The store has no responsibility for the father who filled out the right paperwork and bought the gun. They don't know what happens to it after they sell it. So
the father's now liable.
Well, under federal law, yes, he was a straw purchaser for a 15-year-old to have a semi-automatic weapon. But listen, I'm telling you, the sickest part of the story. Well, the whole story is sick. From the LOL, you have to learn not to get caught message that Jennifer Crumbly texts her son when the school first contacts her, and she ignores that, to the day of the shooting when she texts her son Ethan, don't do it. I mean, they know. This is complete evidence that they know how messed up this kid has gotten, and that he's going to hurt people, that he's going to kill people, that he's going to be a school shooter. That's why they were charged, because they knew. And instead of showing up at the school and telling the school, hey, listen, the reason why he's obsessing over a gun, we bought him one. We shouldn't have done it. But Ethan, do you have the gun? Is it in your backpack? Ethan, where's the gun? They don't tell the school that they bought their child a gun. They don't tell the school the reason why the thoughts won't stop about killing people is because he's got a gun on him. And by the way, he did have a gun on him. And so what does he do after his parents leave? He goes into the bathroom with his backpack where the gun is, and the parents knew. He loads it. He opens the bathroom door, and he very casually, they say that the closed-circuit TV is horrific because he calmly goes down the hallway shooting his classmates. And she's texting him, Ethan, don't do it, because she knows. And now they're on the lam, they're on the run, oh my God.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
I'm going to play you a voicemail that we received hours after I got off the phone with Representative Boebert after she posted her video.
We see you, Muslim sin bitch. We know what you're up to. You're all about taking over the country. Don't worry, there's plenty that will love the opportunity to take you off the face of the earth. Come get it, you fucking Muslim piece of shit, you jihadist. We know what you are. You're a fucking traitor. You will not live much longer, bitch. I can almost guarantee you that we the people are rising up, and you will be tried for a military tribunal, and you will be found guilty.
For those of you who did not hear it very well, let me read you what the voicemail says. We see you, sand, N-word bitch. We know what you are up to. You are all about taking over our country. Don't worry, there is plenty that would love the opportunity to take you off the face of this effing earth. Come get it. But you are effing Muslim piece of shit. You are jihadist. We know what you are. You are effing traitor, and you will not live any longer. Condemning this should not be a partisan issue. This is about our basic humanity and fundamental rights of religious freedom enshrined in our Constitution.
So the only portion of the Constitution they seem to care about is the portion that guarantees them the right to buy guns for their 15-year-olds, right? There is no religious freedom. Obviously, we saw this argument in Mississippi, with this Mississippi case in the Supreme Court this week, where there is apparently a love for only one brand of Christianity, just one kind of Christianity, and that is the kind that says, my body, your choice, right? This whole country has been so violently radicalized that you have members of Congress who are literally terrified to go to work because they now serve with people who would make phone calls like that. They now actually call them colleagues, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Matt Getzes, the Lauren Boeberts, the Gosars, the Andy Biggs, okay? This whole government has been infiltrated by violent haters, by people who are willing to give tours to insurrectionists who want to overthrow our government, people who would point out, see these windows? These windows are breakable. They're completely breakable. And you know where you'll end up? Right there in the speaker's lobby. And then you can go get Nancy Pelosi. And oh, by the way, James Clyburn has a secret office over here. This is where he toils, okay? And he's the majority whip. Okay, so he's the number 2. You want to get him too. Oh, and don't forget, Mike Pence, he's going to have the football. You need to go get him and hang him. Oh, my God. This whole experiment is failing. It is literally failing. And the leadership of this country has been so putrid and so violent and so willing to lie and distort and scream and yell about how that person is being stolen from, that person is being wronged, and this cult that follows this billionaire who they think somehow thinks of them and will do right by them somewhere, somehow, someday, as he transferred all of the money from the Treasury to his top 1% donors and stole Supreme Court seats, literally stole them with the help of the majority leader in the U.S. Senate, and put these ideologues on the court to make it into a partisan effort. And didn't do it alone, by the way. This is a long slog toward Gomorrah. We went through it all yesterday. It's called The Scheme. It has a name. I put an article in the homework today so you could read about the scheme that the Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society and the Leonard Leos and the Carrie Saravinos and the sick, twisted, right-wing lunatic fringe has had in their head, in their ideology for at least 30 years that I know of, have turned the least democratic portion of our government, and by least democratic, I mean no voters necessary. The Supreme Court does not require anybody to vote for it, which is a problem for me. The Supreme Court is the least democratic of the 3 distinct branches of government that we have, right? The president needs to be elected, but not by a popular majority, no, by an electoral college majority, which is sick and twisted in and of itself. And then you have the House and the Senate, the legislative branch, that have to be elected by popular vote. And then you have the judicial branch, which doesn't have to be elected by anybody. And so the Republicans have decided that is where they're going to enforce their sicko rules by minority rule on everybody else. You realize that if this Mississippi thing prevails, that the Supreme Court is going to have to overturn Roe v. Wade in order to end the viability line between when an abortion is legal and when an abortion is not legal under our law. That line has been in place for 50 years. We've all agreed and relied on that law, on that ruling. And then it was affirmed in 1992 in the Casey case, which looked at every single portion of the Constitution that addresses liberty and freedom and privacy and everything and equality under our Constitution, right? So they're going to have to undo it and take that right away from half the population, with a majority of this country who are not for that. And they've been buying that particular branch of government to, I gave you the numbers yesterday. I mean, it's just so unbelievable. 17 million for Gorsuch and 17 million for Kavanaugh and 33 million for, Amy Covid Barrett. I mean, it's just an amazing scheme that they actually were able to get people who would go to their confirmation hearings and lie under oath, literally sit there and lie about how Roe is settled precedent, blah, 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 right? And then the questions that we heard the other day, the grilling, the interest in overturning it was so apparent. It was so obvious. It was so... All because people can be talked into taking away other people's rights because they had a good salesman who was able to sell them literally down the river. And now the country is super violent and super divided and super polarized and super confused and radicalized to the point where you now not only have school shooters, but you have their parents who are also running from the law at the same time their kid is facing murder charges. I just, what in the world kind of country do we have, and what in the world are we going to do about it? I told you, if in June, this is the upside to all this, if in June the Supreme Court actually, produces this wet dream that the Heritage Foundation and the lunatic, fringy, right-wing, anti-choice people have had in their heads, there'll be chaos in this country. I mean, the whirlwind.
Truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
All right. This just in.
Major development coming in just the last couple of minutes. Attorneys who say they are representing the Crumbleys reaching out with this statement saying that the Crumbleys are in fact not missing. They say this: on Thursday night, we contacted the Oakland County prosecutor to discuss this matter and to advise her that James and Jennifer Crumbley would be turning themselves in to be arraigned instead of communicating with us. The prosecutor held a press conference to announce charges. The attorneys go on to say here, the Crumbleys left town on the night of the tragic shooting for their own safety. They are returning to the area to be arraigned. They are not fleeing from law enforcement, despite recent comments in media reports. But Jake, of course, we know they were supposed to be in court for that arraignment at 4 o'clock.
Maybe their lawyers don't have a watch. Maybe the lawyers think that Oxford, Michigan is on Central Time, and it isn't. It's on Eastern. I checked. Oh, my God. The lawyers are trying to clean this mess up because the Crumbleys fled the interview. They fled the interview. They fled the interview. They fled the arraignment. They had an appointment with the court today at 4 Eastern. It is now 4:21 Eastern. The Crumbleys have not appeared here. Ricky Ricardo doesn't appear here? No. And the lawyer is like, freaked out about how in the world am I going to represent these clients? So he texts the media and says, well, last night we talked to them. Trust me, the prosecutor told the lawyers last night, the Crumbleys are due in court tomorrow at 4 p.m. We are prepared and going to. charged the parents with involuntary manslaughter, both of them, 4 counts each for the 4 murders that their son committed, and that they aided, and that they neglected to tell the school about him having a gun. And so we're holding him responsible. You are due in court. Your clients are due in court at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. There will be a press conference tomorrow afternoon. Listen, people don't even put stuff in the newspaper without calling you and telling you that they're going to press tomorrow. Do you have a comment? That's why every newspaper article you ever read says, we reached out to fill in the blank, and we've received no word back. That's because they called the day before to get a comment about what they were going to press with the next day. Trust me, this prosecutor, who is very, very smart, who knew to charge these parents, who saw the evidence of the text messages, who saw the evidence of a straw purchase, who saw the evidence of a kid who is mentally coming apart in a violent manner, tried to get the parents to get involved. The school did, because our mental health screening in school is pretty damn good. You have to kind of see that, right? Can't blame this one on the mental health care professionals, because they did their job. They saw what this kid was doing. They called the school resource officer. They called the guidance counselor. The guidance counselor called the parents the day before and said, red flag, red flag, red flag. And the parents ignored all of it, until the kid started drawing the thing he was about to do. And a teacher spotted that too. And the parents finally came in and neglected to tell the school that in his backpack he had a gun they purchased for him. Oh my God. Sean in Connecticut.
Hi, Randy. How are you?
I'm all right.
Well, basically what I want to get to is this, that it's possible that the mental health issues that this boy was dealing with have been running through his family through years, because quite often that mental health does cross generations. And you're seeing also culturally with the likes of Lauren Boebert and the others in Congress who also seem to have similar type of mental health conditions, and we're not dealing with those properly.
We're not dealing with those properly. Well, you can't deal with criminal law unless somebody violates it. You can't take, any sort of action. You can't charge people. You can't do it. The school did exactly what you would want them to do. The school saw something. They said something. They told the parents. The parents ignored it. They told them again. The parents came in. The parents chose a path for their son, and that was a violent path. That was a path of lying. That was a path of deceit. And the kid ended up being, the next school shooter.
Right, I understand that, but I don't put this on the school. I put this on the parents, because obviously there's something wrong there, and they did not even deal with it themselves.
Right.
And
That's
they should
right.
have.
That's right. And the parents, definitely, don't like responsibility. They don't want to face responsibility. They don't want to take responsibility. They don't feel responsible. They've decided that they're going to set their own hours. They're going to show up in court when, they feel like it. They're not going to keep their appointment. They're not, is that mental illness, or is that just, an aggressive FU?
It's possibly both, and I'll tell you what, because, they probably did the latter, as you said, but the issue that this boy may have also been in this family and not diagnosed.
Well, the school obviously gave them at least 24 hours of a heads up that their child was in some sort of peril, that their child was having a behavioral issue. And the parents just chose to ignore it. So I can't fault mental health for this one. This is
I'm not either. I just want to point out to you and others that
this is pure criminality and a pure decision to be on the wrong side of the law. This is a decision that was made to be a straw purchaser for a 15-year-old, to buy a gun for Christmas for a 15-year-old who obviously was having trouble in school anyway, because she's writing letters on her Facebook page to Donald Trump saying my child can't do 4th grade math, right? And this is, in 2016. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, of course I do. And what I'm saying to you is
that's not mental illness. That's bad parenting.
No. but it is bad talent. I agree with you on that too. But I think that actually, if we delve into their past,
well,
I'm sure they've had issues too.
Well, they both, I told you, were arrested in Florida for DUIs, both of them, in separate incidents, and they were both arrested for fraudulent check writing. That's not mental illness.
Sure
that's
more
criminal. That is people choosing.
Right, but I'm
something.
sure there's more to it than we know because
no,
just don't pop out of nowhere.
I think you're conflating mental illness, which is a serious, it's being betrayed by your own chemistry. And you're conflating that with choosing to be lawless, choosing to be fraudulent, choosing to write back checks. That's not mental. That's not mental.
Oh no,
illness.
I know that. Oh, I know. I'm not.
Well, that's
I'm not
who his
trying
parents
to convict
are. That's who his parents are. That's when you say if you look into their past.
I'm not denying at all the criminality. Let's not disagree because I agree with you on that totally. But I'm saying that if we delve into their lives a little more than we have on the
I'm sorry. I refuse. I will not accept common criminals, ordinary fraudsters. Because then, so Trump did what he did, and Trump incited violence, and Trump told people to, you won't have a country anymore unless you fight like hell. Trump actually, defrauded his own students at his own self-named university because he's mentally ill. No. Trump is a criminal. He believes he's a mob boss, okay? He acts like a mob. You would have to say that, every mafia family suffers from mental illness. No, they suffer from feeling above the law.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
It's Friday, you bastards, on Free Speech TV and everywhere else. Today is another match day. Yes, yesterday we did really well. So thank you so much. Can you do it again? Or do you want to tell somebody to do it? Because today is a match day, too, up to $10,000. Thanks to Karen and Brenda and Deborah and Janet and Mac and Jerry and Joe and Patsy and Gary and Robert and Betty and William, who lives in Michigan. They are going to match whatever you can do today up to $10,000. That is awesome. So visit us at freespeech.org or dial us at 877-378-8669. It's on the screen, 877-378-8669, or text FSTV to 44321. 44321. FSTV will send you a secure link. You can make your donation that way. It will be matched. Dollar for dollar, up to $10,000. There are lovely gifts for you, depending on how much you can do and what you choose. That we will, because we like to reciprocate. We do. And let's see what we can do today to benefit Free Speech TV, which is a not-for-profit independent media company. Okay. Tony in Oxford, Michigan. Oh, hey.
Hi, Randi. First time.
Oh, hey.
Long time listener.
All right.
Yeah,
tell me everything. Tell me what's going on in your town.
Well, we're having a vigil tonight, and we got ribbons everywhere, thoughts and prayers and stuff like that. I'm really tired of thoughts and prayers right now. It's time for action. But
I hear you.
My town is a very small town, and we have like I don't know, 2 or 3 gun shops now, or places where you can get weapons and ammo. And I am a gun owner and I'm a hunter, but I don't have any.
No, it's Michigan. I know.
I don't have any handguns. I don't believe in handguns. And my new neighbor across the street just moved in. They've got all these signs. Everybody's got signs around here. They get those stupid little signs they play everywhere, about everything. You unmask my kids. I mean, they're just ridiculous, Randi. It's just over the top. Everywhere the flags. I could see it coming, and my kids were a little worried when they went to school there.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody flies, these kids fly the Confederate flag. They think it's some kind of symbol of freedom or something, or
good
rebel.
God.
Yeah, it's just everywhere around here, and it does not surprise me.
No.
I was almost waiting, and what makes me sick, I was walking my dog when it happened in the park, and I heard all these sirens going off. And I'm thinking, okay, somebody's house on fire, tree or something, It just kept coming and coming and coming, and then I get my phone's blowing up, and it's like, oh. Yeah. Active shooter. It's like, oh my God, my friend her daughter sent her. She was talking around the phone, and gunshots were going off. And she ran and got in the car, tried to get as close as she could to the school to get her kids out. But it's insane. Everybody has guns around here.
I know. Everybody. This country has more guns in it than it has people at this point.
Yeah.
It's an epidemic. And listen, I get shooting. I used to, I'd never killed, a live thing in my life, but I skeet shot. I love to shoot.
Yeah.
I'm trained, everything else, but, I'll go to a range or whatever because it's Florida. What are we going to hunt? Iguanas, I'm going to hunt a white heron. I mean, they're beautiful. They're
right. Not much there.
Not much here. So, not really. And yet everyone here in Florida, gun. Everyone here in Florida is packing. Everyone. You got people in Congress now, okay, bringing their Glock to Congress. Right. And then threatening their colleagues on Twitter and threatening them on the TV and threatening them on the Fox. We have turned ourselves into one violent mess of a brainwashed, lunatic fringe country.
Right, and we have a lot of them where I live. This is a very rich part of Oakland County. I mean, Lissa Slotkin's my rep, and I did everything I could to get her elected.
Yeah.
And who knows if she's going to be my rep next go around here.
Right,
I have no idea.
I know.
Oh, your Air Force did a nice missing man circle around the town here. They flew over a few times. It was kind of cool.
Hey, Tony, I wanted to ask you a question real quick. You mentioned you were a hunter and that you don't own a handgun, and you also have a child, right?
I have 2 kids. Yeah.
What message is a parent sending his 15-year-old child when he buys them a semi-automatic handgun? They're not going camping and hunting. Are they saying protect yourself, or are they saying if we have to protect the family, join in the shootout? What is the message?
Yeah, I think it's these kids. This kid was radicalized by his parents. His parents are nuts.
Yeah, his parents are bad parents. I mean, they're bad people. They're people who have been arrested multiple times for various, things that could hurt other people. Obviously, the DUIs are, disgusting. But then the fraudulent checks and the whole 9 yards, and then moving from here. Like I said, Tony, they came from here to you.
They did.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So
beautiful. Yeah. Tom read the open letter, the blog letter she sent to Trump after he was elected. I guess.
I mean, there's something.
That was off the. That was way off the hook.
I mean, there's something really evil in this country that's percolating just under the surface with people who seem like regular, normal, shoppers or regular normal parents or regular normal community members, and they're not. They're a hair trigger away from, doing something about their radicalized views of the world. And the radicalization is nearly complete with 30% of this country. And that's really all it takes, as you can see, a minority of this country. Look, yesterday I was showing you how small the minority is. It's 1/10 of 1% that can afford to buy the Supreme Court, that can afford to buy the Senate and the House, right? And we're living under their chosen vision, which is that we should be one set upon the other. I mean, this is happening because they want it to happen. They've made this happen.
Correct.
And it's so sad because, obviously, middle of the road, normal people who are just trying to go along to get along have been radicalized, and they've been made violent, and they've been made resentful. They've been made angry and hateful, and they're passing it on to their kids.
You're right. And Randy, all my neighbors are like my neighbors across the street. They are Christians for Trump. And my next door neighbors, they both had their signs. They still have their sign up. It's Christians for Trump. Freedom. Pro-life and pro-police. That's what it is. And
unless somebody beats a police officer with his own flag, right? With his own
right.
Yeah, then they're not so pro-police, right?
Well, I have one neighbor. I used to rail about this guy. He had his sign up for Trump 2016 for 4 years. But after the insurrection, there is no sign of anything. Yeah. I think only one person got it around here, and he was really crazy. He had all the flags, but there is nothing now. Nothing there.
So interesting. Well, thanks,
It is.
Tony.
It
I'm
just
so
makes you
sorry for
sick.
your town. It does make you sick.
When
it
it
really
comes
does.
to your town,
Yeah.
and you never think it really is a sick feeling. I just can't get it out.
I get
it's
it.
just hard.
I hear you. I mean, listen, we had, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and that was my neighborhood too. And it's just, you'll never shake it. It has, you've lost your virginity.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
So pay attention to this, okay? This is Lala Ingram, Eva Braun here, talking to Ted Cruz about all the millions of dollars they spent buying the Supreme Court, and she doesn't feel she's getting her money's worth.
If we have 6 Republican appointees on this court, after all the money that's been raised, the Federalist Society, all these big fat cat dinners, I'm sorry, I'm pissed about this. If this court with 6 justices cannot do the right thing here, the constitutional thing, then I think it's time to do what Robert Bork said we should do, which is to circumscribe the jurisdiction of this court. And they want to blow it up, then that's the way to change things finally. Because this can't stand. This is insane.
I would do that in a heartbeat. As you know, the Constitution gives Congress the authority to restrict the jurisdiction of the court. I think we should do that.
Absolutely.
Oh my God! She's literally saying in that little clip there that they bought the Supreme Court. It's bought and paid for. That the Federalist Society and that Kerry Severino and that the Donors Trust Group, all of these dark money groups, that they spent $100 million buying their Supreme Court justices, buying them, putting them there. And if she can't get them to take rights away from Americans, if she doesn't see the result that they paid for, if she doesn't see, like Ginny Thomas's Heritage Foundation, prevail in taking away 50-year-old rights that we have come to rely on in this country for half of our population to have privacy and autonomy in their own person, then she wants Ted Cruz and the Republicans to limit the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court or blow up the Supreme Court, get rid of the Supreme Court. So we get criticized when we talk about expanding the Supreme Court because it has become a completely purchased political institution, which causes Americans to have no faith in the justice system, no faith in their own government, no faith in anything that we've come to know as democracy, right? And that is the plan. It's the plot. It is the ultimate goal of the Koch brothers. It's the ultimate goal of the billionaire giving class. It's the ultimate goal of the Federalist Society, of the Heritage Foundation, of these right-wing lunatic fringy think tanks, okay? This has been the scheme. This has been the caper. This has been the entire agenda for them all along, right? And now she's saying it out loud and nobody is screaming, oh my God, they bought the Supreme Court, and they're admitting it. And if they don't get the result they want, they're going to blow it up. They're going to overthrow our judicial branch. They're going to hobble it, or they're going to limit its jurisdiction, or they're going to pick the cases that they hear. Listen, this whole case of Roe v. Wade that they're hearing now, this Mississippi, women's health thing, you have to ask yourself this entry-level question. Why are they hearing this case? There is no contretemps. I mean, there's no disagreement in the lower courts about whether or not a constitutional right to privacy and to liberty exists, and whether or not equal protection under law for everybody is equal protection under law. There's no argument. Nothing is at odds. Now, the Supreme Court settles disputes between lower courts. So if a district court held a certain way and then the appeals court held a different way, then the Supremes would be petitioned. There's a writ. It's called a writ of certiorari, right? They would be, asked to mediate between the disagreement between the two courts, the lower court and the mid-level appeals court. There is no disagreement. There never has been. So the fact that they took this case in the first place tells you all you need to know about the evil nature of the money. that bought them what they want. And why abortion? Why abortion and why voting rights? Why are they doing that? Why did they do Citizens United, Shelby versus Holder, which was the decision based on no fact? Nothing had changed at all anywhere in any county, in any state, in any part of the United States that said, oh, you need to weigh in on whether racism in America is over and whether or not you could get rid of states that typically discriminate against voters of color, and whether or not that's been resolved, and then throw out the pre-clearance requirement. None of that had happened. But they created a case called Shelby County, what is that, Alabama, versus Eric Holder, right? They sued the government to get the Supreme Court to say racism is over and you don't need any protections for voters of color in this country. And of course, the second that they threw out that pre-clearance requirement, North Carolina went about their, suppressing votes. Georgia tried to suppress votes. They purged voter lists. All of it. And now they're doing abortion. Why? Because these are issues that people have, and I mean all different people, all different kinds of people, all different, persuasions of people have very strong opinions about. And so the Supreme Court had resolved those issues, the things that people feel very strongly about 50 years ago. 50. Voting Rights Act 65. Roe v. Wade 73. See what I mean? Resolved to keep the peace, resolved in the best way they could, resolved to say, yes, every class of person deserves protection and privacy in their voting and access to voting and access to healthcare and all those things, right? So they decided to open these wounds with the money. The money wanted to open these wounds so that we could be at each other's throats. No other reason. They don't, the Koch brothers don't really care what goes on in my uterus. They don't care what goes on in your uterus, and they really aren't all about voter suppression. They just, it's just stuff that they can, gin up emotion. And when people are radicalized around a feeling instead of, around facts, well, they can have their way. I mean, they could deregulate the banking system. They can, dismantle environmental laws, right? And so now they got, they did, the very first effort they made was Bush v. Gore. And I think we exposed yesterday why Bush v. Gore was such a big issue for the moneyed elite. It was such a big issue because they had an environmentalist named Al Gore 22 years ago who would have brought us into the 20th century at the beginning of the 20th century, or they had an oil guy from Texas who was literally dumb as dirt. And they totally picked the president, and they got away with it. And then they opened up the dark money. They said, come on in, buy more. We're for sale. All the Republicans were for sale. Every single last one of them. This is how we ended up with a Lauren Boebert. This is how we end up with a Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is how you end up in gerrymandered districts. This is how, they pack Democrats so tightly into a district so that you get no representation, even though you're the majority of the population of your state. They did it in Pennsylvania. They did it in Michigan, right? And the only reason why there's a culture war, the only reason why we're discussing my right to privacy, your right to privacy and your own personal papers, effects, and homes is not because the big money gives a damn about anything except getting your data, erasing your privacy rights, and they can do that and start a culture war through my uterus. That's why they picked it. And she's sitting on the TV night before last admitting that they paid for a result. They paid for these justices, and if they don't get what they paid for, they're going to blow it up.
If we have 6 Republican appointees on this court, after all the money that's been raised, the Federalist Society, all these big fat cat dinners, I'm sorry, I'm pissed about this.
So I'm going to tell the truth.
With 6 justices cannot do the right thing here, the constitutional thing, then I think it's time to do what Robert Bork said we should do, which is to circumscribe the jurisdiction of this court. And they want to blow it up, then that's the way to change things finally. Because this can't stand. This is insane.
It's right there for you, okay? That is less than 30 seconds of truth-telling because she's pissed. Because she's pissed. And when you're angry, you don't make the best decisions. And she decided to tell the truth about the dark money that picked these three justices. She actually names the Federal Society, but, you know, doesn't... I'm sorry, she says. I'm pissed. She says that to Ted Cruz. Because she knows he's on the take too, right? So I'm sorry I have to expose you, but I'm just angry today. All right, so tomorrow, Jeffrey Clark, who wrote the coup memo, has a chance to not be held in contempt. He has a chance to go to Congress and testify, but mark my words, he'll take the fifth. That's what he's going to do. And God help us if they don't capture these parents.